Hey guys, and welcome to the very first mini session with me, Blue. Today we're going to spend 15 minutes loosening up those hips. So let's get started. So we're going to start by lifting the right knee up off the mat. Just maybe 2 or 3 centimeters or half an inch. And then we're just going to take some really small movements in that knee. So what we want to do is just look for that nice rotation in the ball and socket. We're not putting too much effort into anything, we just want to sort of lubricate that joint. So start off small and concentrate on just drawing nice little circles on the mat with your knee. And you might notice there's a few little clunky bits, and that's okay. And find your breath here. That's it, and we're going to start to spiral this movement outwards, so start to create slightly bigger movements on each rotation. Good. And then we're going to slightly lift the knee as we sort of get bigger and bigger and expand into those rotations more and more. And if you feel yourself rocking forward and back on the hip joint, that's fine as well. Make sure you're engaged in the hands here, so don't collapse into the wrists, pressing down into the knuckles. We don't want to claw the knuckles. And then you'll probably notice you start to really lift into the knee here. That's good, let's stay with that. We won't count how many we're doing. So move at your own speed. And if you find yourself lifting the heel, not the knee, maybe just correct that by lowering the heel slightly. Let yourself follow with the knee, or lead with the knee, sorry. Now let's do one more of those. Get really big with the movement. And then come all the way around. Let's come back in the opposite direction. So lifting the right knee. And you're sort of aiming it towards your shoulder here, and then coming down past the elbow. And then down through the midline. Take your time. And we'll do a few of those. We might do 5. That's it. Really scrub past your range of motion there. Don't force anything, but just sort of scrubbing at any sticky points. We'll do one more. Staying pretty passive in breath. And then coming back down. Let's have a go on the other side here. So we're going to lift the left knee. Once again, not lifting it too far off the mat. Staying pretty passive in movement. We want to keep the hips relatively level here as well. We're just going to start to make those small movements, or small circles. Imagine you're sort of painting little circles on the mat there with your knee. That's it. And just create that image of the ball and socket of the hip joint, just sort of loosening and lubricating as it slides around in the socket. And then when you're familiar with that rotation, start to make slightly bigger circles. And notice how your knee starts to wing out towards the side of the mat, or even fills the space, sort of as you lift it up. That's it. Now your movements are getting quite dramatic. And you're moving to the best of your ability. So you don't have to be lifting your knee up sort of too far or putting pressure on the lower back. Once again, just scrubbing past your range of movement here. Staying long and passive in breath. If you like, you can time the knee coming in with the exhale. And as you expand outwards, you inhale. But it doesn't matter too much. We'll just do a couple more. That's it. One more. And we're not counting. So do as many as you like. We're going to come back in the opposite direction now. Lifting up. And you're sort of aiming the knee towards the shoulder and then the elbow. You should feel really nice warmth here in the hip. Lifting up with the knee. And as you exhale, bring that left knee in towards the shoulder, then the elbow. Painting really big circles now, sort of along the floor, along the wall next to you. Let's do 2 more. Good, last one. And then coming down. Now from here we'll probably need a little bit of release into the wrists. So sink yourself back down over the heels, to the best of your ability that is. Curl the knuckles up into little fists, and let's just press the knuckles forward. Really expand out over the tops of the wrists there. Out over the tops of the forearms, out over the shoulders, all the way up to the back of the neck, and let it run down your spine. Take a deep breath in here, and give yourself a long exhale. As you exhale, let yourself sort of collapse. Spread the fingers out wide. Let yourself melt down into your thighs. And then we're going to come back up onto hands and knees here. And we're going to bring the knees in nice and close. So your knees are touching, your ankles are probably touching. Now I recommend bringing the hands out a little bit wider here. And we're just going to rock over into the right hand hip, or dip down into the right hip. Bending into the elbows. And coming back up and sinking down. Don't worry too much about what your upper body's doing. And sinking down. I like to inhale as I come up and exhale as I dip in, but it doesn't matter too much as long as your breath is long and steady and conscious. We'll come back up and over to the left hand side. Now from here what we're going to do is bring the tailbone back towards the heels and then rock over into the right hip. I'm going to turn this into some nice big circular motions. And you can even bring the heels or the hips all the way back towards the heels, rocking over. You probably feel a few little pops and clicks in the knees and in the hips here. That's a good thing. Scrubbing out all those sticky points, all that tension that's built up in the hips. That's it. And let's come back in the opposite direction. And rocking all the way over to the right hip. I like to exhale as I sit back into the heels, then inhale as I bring the weight forward. And exhale. I'm just going to do 2 more. Coming all the way around. Rocking into the hips. Last one. Take it really nice and slowly. Perfect. I'm going to come back up onto hands and knees. And straight into the next movement here. I'm actually just going to step this right knee forward and slide this left leg back. Now be careful, if you've got any pressure in the knees already, you can actually place something underneath. You can sort of place a block in between the heel and the hip there. Or you can just stay upright as it is. If you do have the mobility, you can start to sink yourself back down into the mat there. Or the hip back down into the heel, should I say. And from here, I'm just going to make some gentle rocks from side to side. So same again, I'm kind of dipping over into the right hip there. As I come over to the left hand side, I'm getting this nice big opening in the groin here. And I'm also opening up over that left sort of hip flexor as well, but don't dip yourself in too far. You don't want to sort of sink into the lower back too much. So keeping it passive, let's just rock from side to side. Trying to take deep breaths into the upper body here. Breathing up and down the spine. Very nice. Let's do 3 more of those. And don't worry about counting how many movements you do, or how long you do it, or how many. One more. And then we might come back. And what I like to do from here is come up onto the fingertips, inhale and lift the chest. And even better, we can sort of tuck the tailbone under and draw the navel towards the spine You can even press down through the knuckles here, let the shoulder blades separate. It's a little bit like a sort of a cat-cow movement. We can loop the shoulders back and press the chest forward. And then exhale, tuck the tailbone under. Create as much space between the ribs and that right thigh as you can. Then come back to a neutral position and just start to slide that right leg back. And we'll start on the other side here. So bring the left knee in, stepping it in. Now behind the left wrist is sort of a nice little place to start. Try not to bring it in too far towards the midline, because you might end up sort of sinking in. And we don't want it out too far because it can get a little bit, sort of create a bit of pressure in the lower back. So lined up behind the left wrist is good, under the left shoulder. We can start to extend into this right leg if you like. Once again, bolstering or sort of raising up that hip if there's tension in the knee. Let's rock over into the right hip here. And then come over to the left hand side. And just taking this beautiful sort of rocking motion into the hips, just lubricating the ball and socket there. You can close your eyes if you like. Focus on the breath. Let the weight melt down. Let all the tension fall away from that left hip. And we'll just do one or two more. That's it. You might be playing with sort of how far you spill into the posture. And you're welcome to even hold it for a moment if you like. And we'll come back to a neutral position when you're ready here. We're going to inhale and lift the chest. You can come up onto the fingertips if you like, tucking the tailbone under, sort of recruiting the abdominals a little bit there. And then exhale, reverse that movement. Lift the ribs away from the left knee. You might even feel a nice little opening out over the right hip flexor there. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale. Tucking the tailbone under. You can even tuck the chin in towards the chest if you like. Press away from the mat, let the shoulder blades separate. Then come back to a neutral position. Now what we'll do from here is slide this left knee back. And I'm going to bring my right knee forward just so I don't come all the way off the end of the mat there. Wherever you are, bring the knees out nice and wide and sink down over the heels here. Bring the elbows down to the mat and stack the hands. Place the forehead on the back of the hands here and just gently rock into the hips. And just taking a couple of breaths here as we rock from side to side, pressing off one knee and then the other. Let yourself get comfortable. Let the weight of your body melt down into the mat. Feel the chest expand and the spine lengthen. Feel the hips soften. Feel that lovely opening in the groin. Then take a deep breath in and a long exhale. Let your chest fully melt into the mat now. Deep breath in and a long exhale. Then we're going to make a really passive transition back up onto hands and knees. So bringing those knees back in underneath the hips. And from here we're actually going to make another transition over into a reclining position. Extending the feet out in front, sliding the hips forward. Place your palms down just behind the hips with the fingertips facing towards the ankles. Take a deep breath in and bend the elbows, lower yourself down on the exhale. Find length in the spine, length in the back of the neck. Take a deep breath in here. Firm down through the belly, lengthen the spine into the mat, and then slide the heels back, bring the knees in towards the body. Bring one hand to each knee. Let the knees separate out to the side here. Start to do some nice oscillations with the knees. So letting them sort of roll out in opposite directions here. Soften your gaze and close your eyes. I feel that really nice opening in the hips, that softening in the hips. See if you can notice your pelvis kind of rocking forward and back. As the knees come in towards your body, the pelvis follows. And then as your knees sort of fall away from your body, you'll feel the weight rock into the tailbone. You might use the exhale to draw the knees in closer towards the ribs. Separating the knees out really nice and wide here and just scrubbing away any tension. And coming back in the opposite direction. Let's just take 3 more rotations. Once again using the exhale breath. Take it really slow, not rushing anything. And coming back up to a neutral position. And lowering the soles of the feet back down. Let the knees fall in towards one another. And give yourself 5 breaths here. Let the weight melt down through the soles of the feet. Feel the back of your body, feel the back of your pelvis, your lower back just expanding out, just melting down through the mat. Take a deep breath in here. And a long exhale. We'll do 2 more of those. Deep breath in. Long exhale. Last one, inhaling. And a long exhale. And you're welcome to stay in rest, in relaxation for as long as you like. Namaste.